It's true. The Force, the Jedi. All of it. It's all true.
Welcome back, my friends, to Star Wars Fiction, where we discuss everything Star Wars, including fanfiction stories. In case you're wondering why this is coming out on a Thursday, it's because I'm about to resume my job and my schedule gives me no time on Fridays to release videos for you. So expect Thursday evenings to be a new release time for the fanfictions. And if I have more time, I'll drop other lore videos during the week as well, but at least expect one fanfiction a week from me. I wish I could promise more, but unfortunately working 50 plus hours a week keeps my time limited. But I promise I'll do what I can for you guys. With that being said, let's get back into our fanfiction story. If you're new on the channel or haven't yet done so, please consider subscribing to show your support and to be first to know when a new video is released. And of course, if you haven't seen the previous 6 parts, click the card above you for a playlist to watch these other videos first, so that it all makes sense. And now, without further delay, let's make the jump back into our fanfiction story. We once again find ourselves above the planet of Argos, where 2 Star Destroyers are about to face off, with more on the way. The Dauntless, under the command of Anakin Skywalker, managed to catch the Investigator off guard momentarily, as Admiral Versio had assumed it would flee, instead of staying to be destroyed. "Shields at full power, and scramble the fighters, now!" he shouted, already being at a disadvantage as he began to look for the Corvus. It had positioned itself near the main hangar's entrance and had begun to pick off a good portion of the TIE fighters leaving the hangar. He knew he couldn't focus too much fire on it, or the Dauntless would destroy him. But if he did focus on the Corvus, he could capture 2 Rebellion High Command prisoners and his traitors, and perhaps he could request a ceasefire. "Capture the Corvus with the tractor beam, and focus all fire on Vader," he ordered, clenching his fist. Anticipating this to happen, Luke helped Han and Leia into the escape pod despite their protest. "Just think of who will be causing this big distraction," he says, smiling. "And remember to launch on my signal," he yells as he runs off for the hangar. As Luke jumps in the last remaining TIE fighter, he straps in and pushes the throttle as far as it would go forward in order to have enough momentum to break through the tractor beam. "Let's hope this works," he says, shooting out of the hangar with an incredible velocity. As he is about to break the tractor beam's pull, he feels his fighter being sucked back in. Luke again pushes down on the thruster, knowing it would do no good. He then instinctively closes his eyes. Seconds later, an invisible force sends Luke's TIE fighter at a speed so fast his ship begins spiraling out of control. Knowing this was the distraction needed, he then tells Han and Leia to launch their pod. Suddenly, a Corellian YT freighter appears out of hyperspace, as if it had planned to intercept them. As if on cue, the tractor beam then focused on Luke, and he was able to avoid it a lot better than the Corvus had. Del Meeko then takes advantage of the break and gets his ship out of range, all while his comrade begins to awaken. Agent Hask finds himself constrained to a chair with binders. "Del Meeko, what's going on?" "Well, we have just joined the rebellion," is all the fellow agent says, catching up to the Millennium Falcon and Luke's TIE fighter to prepare for an attack run. Hask begins to protest as expected, and is met with a stun shot from Del Meeko. We can talk about this later. Meanwhile, on the bridge of the Investigator, Admiral Versio began to have a meltdown. "Why hasn't the fleet come to our assistance?" he asked his first officer. A hologram of Gallius Rex then appears on the bridge. "Because you gave Vader priceless information that was not yours to give," came a stern voice. "You thought Admiral Piet was a fool for losing the Executor. But when you had a chance to lay your life down for the Empire, You refused. He then let out a cruel laugh. What you and many others fail to realize is Operation Cinder will burn out all the weak, Imperials and rebels alike. I was trusted by our Emperor to ensure this, and unlike you and Vader, I will not fail him. The Admiral then pointed a defiant finger at the projection of this new Supreme Leader. I devoted my life to this cause. I sacrificed my wife, and I offered my daughter to serve the Emperor. Do not tell me that we aren't worthy. I'm afraid your usefulness has come to an end, Gallius stated, as the Investigator began to be shook by more incoming fire. A smile began to form on Rax's face. A good admiral goes down with his ship. Now outside the Investigator, 2 more TIE fighters begin to race towards it. Now is your chance to save him, Anakin says to Iden as he races off to support the Falcon and Luke. He then gets into formation next to Luke behind the Falcon and the Corvus, preparing for a wave of TIE fighters. This is where the fun begins, a voice says to Luke, but this time it's younger and more soothing. He knows it to be the true voice of his father.
Stay in formation and let them pass between you.
He briefly caught himself reminiscing on when his master would say the same thing to him during their space battles in the Clone Wars. On board the Millennium Falcon, Leia couldn't help but shudder, hearing his voice, knowing her father is indeed Darth Vader. Han didn't need the Force to know how she felt. Let's just worry about surviving, and then you can have some words with him, Princess. Chewbacca then let out a supportive growl, which probably translated to, I'll help you rip his arms off, should it come to that. Let's just hope Lando feels like being on time today, to save us from this suicidal space battle, she says in a sarcastic tone. With too many TIE fighters to count, Luke and Anakin began to maneuver between them with the Corvus and the Falcon, using their heavier weapons. The TIE fighters of the Dauntless also began to help weed them out, which created a perfect distraction for Iden to board the Investigator undetected. Moments later, she rushed onto the bridge, where she can tell her father has accepted his fate. He doesn't even notice her until she shouts at him, breaking the trance of subtle defeat. Commander Versio, I suggest you abandon ship, he tells her in as calm of a voice as he can. Father, there is a way out of this. You don't have to let the ship be destroyed along with yourself, Iden says, attempting to plead with him. I will not betray my ideals in the face of death, my daughter. I stand for the Empire, even in the face of death. The fleet is here to protect their weapons on Vardos, not you. The real Empire would have come to your support. General Skywalker says he will take you and your ship into his ranks if you help us defeat them. I see you have decided to switch sides, my daughter, but the General Skywalker I know died with the Republic, as I now plan to die for my Empire. You need to save yourself, Iden, he says, starting to push her away. That is not true, she then shouts in a commanding tone. He is alive, and he has sent me to offer you a chance to free the galaxy, to undo everything wrong you have ever done, to avenge my mother. This clearly catches the Admiral off guard, and he pulls a blaster from his belt. He then aims at Iden. Betrayal is punishable by death, my daughter. Iden then closes her eyes and prepares to accept her fate. Multiple shots are then fired, and Iden hears 2 bodies fall to hit the ground. As she opens her eyes, she sees the Imperial officers bearing the Emperor's insignia, with scorching smoke rising from their chest. Sent here by Rax to ensure Operation Cinder was followed. There are more on board that we must deal with. Admiral Versio then turns to his first officer. Hail the Dauntless and order a ceasefire. A few moments later, there is a response. They have acknowledged your request, and now ask us to stand with them against the Grand Admiral. Let them know we are targeting the Magnificent, he then says, turning to Iden. Let us hope General Skywalker is as good as the stories claim. Back in space, Anakin senses the ceasefire before it happens, getting his squad to back down.
The Investigator will be joining us against the rest of the Imperial forces. The Dauntless will provide cover to give it time for it to bring its shields back to full power. We will then make an attack run on the nearest Star Destroyer. Prepare all fighters to engage Grand Admiral Sloane over Vardos.
Unfortunately for the rebels and their 2 Star Destroyers, the Empire quickly learned of the ceasefire and began closing in on them. All General Skywalker could do was warn everyone to brace themselves for a battle that they were now severely outnumbered in. But all of a sudden, a Mon Calamari cruiser and an unknown starship jumped out of hyperspace. Back on board the Millennium Falcon, a familiar voice came over the speaker. "This is General Calrissian to the Falcon. Are you sure we're in the right place?" But before Leia could answer back, another voice chimed in too. "Anyone care to tell me which Star Destroyers are on our side?" Leia knew the voice as Hera Syndulla, and recognized her ship as the Ghost as it came in closer. "All we need to do is fight along these 2 Star Destroyers that we have taken over, and take out the other 4. We appreciate your help, Lando, but even with you and Hera, I'm afraid we're still outmatched." "Never tell us the odds," Han then chimed in as the Ghost fell into formation, and the sounds of an astromech could be heard as well. "I knew you had it in you, you old pirate," Lando verbally shot back as he ordered the Mon Calamari cruiser he was commanding to move in front of the Dauntless and Investigator to help draw some fire off of them. "Chopper says whoever survives gets to tell us a story of how we managed to get 2 Imperial Star Destroyers on our side," Hera shouted, taking out her first TIE fighter. "It's complicated," is all Leia said, watching Vader and Luke fly in formation next to each other, assisting one another and taking out a squad of TIE fighters almost effortlessly. Anakin and Luke then take charge of the fight and manage to reach the first Star Destroyer. They begin to take out the shield generators with the help of the Falcon, the Corvus, and now the Ghost. Using the Force, Anakin then projected his voice inside the head of Grand Admiral Sloane.
"Whoever you now serve will soon be destroyed along with you. Your fleet will fall, and you will die if you do not surrender. Help me kill your master, and you will be free from my wrath."
As the voice of Darth Vader then left her, all she could do was begin to shake in fear. Even as a Grand Admiral, nobody could put this amount of fear into her besides Darth Vader. Indeed, she hated this Gallius Rex that came out of nowhere, and she planned to kill him when she got a chance. But was it worth trading one master for another? She then strode off from the bridge as the 2 fleets remained in a stalemate for the time being. If she did not make a decision soon, Rax would have her head for indecisiveness. Somehow, he was still connected to the Emperor after his death, something that she did not begin to understand. But nevertheless, it would be something she would soon find out. Alright guys, that's going to be a wrap for part 7. Thank you again for tuning in for our latest episode. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure to give it a like, as your support really helps our channel. As a quick reminder, if you haven't subscribed already, hit that red button with the bell notification icon to be the first to know when our new videos are released. Also make sure to check out our other recent video on if Yoda could have prevented Order 66. I hope everyone continues to stay safe out there, and until next time, may the Force be with you, wherever you may be, in the galaxy, far, far away.
Asshole, what do you have for